actual ninjas existing in Warhammer the Old World? Get out of here. Welcome back to Emblem Doom Miniatures. My name is Deets. Now, I love ninjas. I grew up on a healthy diet of martial arts movies, anime, cartoons, and the occasional documentary, and one thing that was sprinkled throughout these forms of media were samurai, ninjas, and Japanese culture. Now, you're probably wondering, that's cool, Deets, get to the point. Well, what the point is that I really want a Japanese-like faction to exist in Warhammer the Old World, and this may come as a surprise to a few of you out there, but a land very similar to Japan, in fact, does exist, and the proof of this comes with this miniature, the Ninja Ogre. So sit back and relax while I slap some paint on this bad boy and his little Genin mate, while I go through a little bit of history of the land in the far, far east, Nippon. The world of Warhammer Fantasy is pretty similar to our own, as the geography closely mirrors ours, and some of the cultures and regions are close but have a sort of mythic flair to them. As the main narrative takes place around the region of the Old World, which to us would be Europe, and some stories are in the New World, which is to the west and consist of the lands of Naggaroth and Lustria, or the Americas to us, it's easy to forget that to the east are the Asian-like regions of the setting. The Grand Cathay, Ind, and Nippon are the three main powerhouses of this eastern area, and unfortunately we never really got armies from these areas, but we did get the odd mention and miniatures from time to time. In the early days of Citadel Miniatures, they produced a few cool samurai and ninja miniatures from the Oriental Heroes range, which I think you can still pick up from Foundry, which is pretty cool. The island nation of Nippon, much like feudal Japan, is run by powerful samurai and an emperor warlord, similar to what we would call a shogun. Religion is a big deal to the people of Nippon, and it seems that the Chaos Gods have made their mark in these lands, as some groups worship Tzeentch, some Nipponese pirates are aligned with the Khorne, but the dominant faith is to a deity called the Orange Simka, and has a sect of devout orange-robed monks who practice deep meditation. As I was doing a bit of research into this video and looking into the background of this territory, you can see that it's mainly a region run by men who distrust outsiders and is used for trade by high elves, but also has a few minor races like ogres and Skaven in the background. Obviously, as Games Workshop never really ventured over to the far east with the game of Warhammer, the history of Nippon isn't really well fleshed out, but as times change, we have recently had some speculation that the Grand Cathay could possibly get an army release later down the track. So as I was working my way through this mini, I thought crossed my mind, wouldn't it be great if the game Total War Warhammer introduced the Nippon faction to the game just the way they did with the Grand Cathay? I think it'd be a really great way to start and could possibly get the ball rolling. Now, if you're into your Rat Boys or Skaven, you probably already know that Clan Eshin ventured deep into the east and picked up a lot of their techniques, warcraft, and culture, and basically became a default ninja assassin faction in the Old World, and you could say that this could be thanks to the ninjas of Nippon. Some Rat Boys were obviously up to no good and were either observing or getting some training by some assassins or ninjas in this area, but this video isn't about Skaven, it's about this big boy here. This mini comes from a diverse range of man-eater themed ogres, which are a pretty unique bunch of mercenaries. There's an ogre from the southern lands of Araby, an empire themed ogre, a pirate ogre, and even an ogre that would get a few boys hot under the collar. And these were released around the 6th edition mark of Warhammer Fantasy, and from the moment I saw this ninja ogre, I knew I had to have it. I saw this mini from time to time on eBay, but it was always missing its little Noblar ninja trainee, so I had to play the long game and wait for the full kit to show up, which it eventually did. I like to think this ogre went on a massive adventure and ended up in the land of Nippon and was eventually adopted into a ninja clan where he underwent a massive amount of training and trials until he was let go by his sensei, probably from doing the wrong thing, and then thrust out into the old world and started his life as a mercenary and picked up a little apprentice along the way. Anyway, I highly recommend pulling up a map of the Warhammer Fantasy world because you might find something that interests you that you never knew existed before. And this is what I love about the old world setting. There's so many regions and areas that haven't been discovered yet, and with that brings the potential new factions to the game. So here's hoping that with the old world's release again, that we get some new factions from these regions in the far, far east. So that's enough chit chat, it's time to finish this mini, and as the bulk of the skin and the two tones of black are now finished, I'll tackle this top knot, goatee, and the true metallics. I'm going for a very muted look with this mini rather than the bold colours I usually slap down. If you compare this guy to last week's Lizardmen Slain Mage Priest I painted, there is a huge difference. I played a few video games back in the day like Tenchu and Ninja Gaiden, and also recently like Ghost of Tsushima, and they really inspired the look for this mini. Obviously being a ninja, a lot of black is a must, but instead of having it all one tone of black, I decided to give the wraps a slight darker blue color, but to keep the highlights all the same. I did this to break up the mini and to not have it too same, as I could have risked it looking like a big black blob. Now, one thing that I realized as well is that this is actually the first ogre I've painted for the channel, and I have said it before, but I'm not really interested in ogres too much, but after painting this guy, I can kind of see the appeal. The larger areas make painting easier, and I guess from a gaming point of view, ogre armies have less models, and that means you can get to the table much quicker, so it's a win-win. And with that, the Ninja Ogre is pretty much done, and it's time to slap some skin tones on the little green skin mate, his little Gnoblar friend here. And I'm gonna try keep him a little bit less saturated, as Gnoblars don't have as much brightness to their skin tones. Now this little fella is absolutely tiny, and look at the size of his schnoz. It's a real beauty. I'm starting out with some Loren Forest as my base, and I found this is a little too bright, so I slapped on a light watered down wash of Nuln Oil to give the recesses some readability. Next, I went back over the raised areas with some more Loren Forest, and then moved through a few different greens, covering less and less of his features. I saw a box of Gnoblars on eBay recently, and I'm really tempted to grab it and start building up a small force of these little fellas. I think it would look absolutely hilarious. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see on the channel. And with that all done, I then smashed out the base, and here it is. Here is one Ninja Ogre from the lands of Nippon. Thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. And if you have a weird or wacky miniature in the old world or any setting that you'd like me to paint, slap it down in the comments below and I'll take a look into it. Like always, I want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreons. You guys are the best. I couldn't do it without you. And if you want to join the Patreon, the link is in the bio. This month, we're having a mage painting competition, so go check that out in my Patreon as well. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you all next time. Cheers.